back to the Basketball Maestros podcast. Thank you for joining us today. And we're here. We're here in postseason basketball. Well, technically not there yet, but the plane's kind of its own entity. But time of this recording, the first day of playing basketball has taken place with the Hawks and the Heat and the Lakers and the Timberwolves. The Hawks coming out on top, and the Lakers coming out on top in overtime last night. But just getting right into it, we can start off with the Hawks and the Heat. I could say I'm probably a little surprised at the result. I'm a little surprised at the
result. I was trying to get it to work.
I'm kind of surprised at the result of the Hawks game. Honestly, I did not find a way where the Hawks would come out on top in this one. The Heat have kind of had the Hawks number of recent. Trae Young kind of struggles against them. I know in the playoffs last year with the Heat, gentlemen swept them. Trae Young really struggled in that series, but complete opposite in this playing game. I mean, the Hawks came out with energy, and the Heat really just came out flat, honestly. Jimmy Butler struggled. He didn't really play well. I didn't really see much out of Bam. Overall, just the Hawks, everybody chipped in. You had Trae Young with 25, DeJounte with 18. Everybody who came off the bench for the Hawks had double digits. You had Bogdan with 14, Jalen Johnson putting up 10, Saddiq Bey 17, Okongwu 12. Everybody just chipped in for the Hawks, and their supporting cast has really helped them out. They've kind of just been hovering around 500 for just basically the whole year. And the Hawks found a way to get it done against the Heat, who have just been just a really weird team. I mean, their record's 44-38, but they just don't feel like a above 500 team. Granted, they still have one more chance to get back into the playoffs, but then again, if you win that, you're going against the Bucks. So, I mean, that'd be the third matchup in the playoffs for them. So, who knows? But don't like the Heat's chances. But overall, I got to give the Hawks credit. Didn't really believe in this team, especially against the Heat, where we kind of just give them the benefit of the doubt of in the playoffs, that's when they kind of show their true colors. But in that playing game, just was not pretty. Jimmy going 6 for 19. Tyler Hero played solid, didn't shoot well from three, but shot well from the field. Kyle Lowry probably had his best game in a very long time, putting up 33 off the bench, but just was not enough. Just not enough scoring, and it kind of hurt them. He only had Tyler Hero 26. Jimmy Butler had a very inefficient 21. Then you had Lowry with 33. He had Bam with a quiet 12, and everybody else was just non-existent. So overall, got to give the Hawks some credit here, but if you're the Heat, they're kind of in no man's land at this point in time. I mean, people say they got to improve the roster, but then again, how do you do that? Because Jimmy's on a huge contract. Lowry's still, I believe, has a year or two left, but then again, he's still making like $30-something million. Tyler Hero, you just signed to a big contract. You have Bam as well. So don't necessarily know how to kind of fix the Heat's problems. I guess that's just kind of up to the front office. I wish I kind of had an easy solution, but I don't really think there is one. I mean, for starters, I would just start with Kyle Lowry, just offload him any way you can. But he did put up 33, give him props. I was kind of in disbelief watching the game. But yeah, the Heat definitely have some questions to answer. Again, their season's not over, but it technically is, because if you win, you're probably going to get swept by the Bucks, or maybe get a game if you're lucky. And the Hawks head to Boston, where they probably get swept, maybe even take a game. But yeah, the Eastern Conference playing games, you don't really expect much from the winners of these games, because, I mean, you're going against probably the two powerhouses or the two front runners to make it out of the East. So, I mean, if you get a game, you can probably consider it a win. But Yeah, overall, it was a pretty decent game. The Hawks just kind of had to manage the Heat's comeback. They made a couple of pushes in the second half. The Hawks were just able to respond consistently. So, got to give them props. And yeah, pretty solid first playing game of the day.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the play-in game, but you can kind of look at the box score and get the gist of the game. I did not see the Hawks coming out and winning this game. I bought into the playoff Jimmy, where he are heating up. They're gonna play better now, and they'll maybe give the Celtics some trouble, and that is exactly what did not happen. Just everyone on that team, really, besides Kyle Lowry, which I cannot believe that out of everyone on that roster, he's the one who really stepped up. Um, no one really was able to do anything. I mean, Jimmy had a really bad night. Tyler Hero played all right. Bam got realistically shut down by Clint Capella on the boards the entire night. And I mean, just a really good win by the Hawks. And now the Heat, like you said, this team going into the future, there's so many question marks. There's no real young pieces besides Tyler Hero and Bam. There's nothing really, bright about their future. And now you go into either the Bulls or Raptors, which I think that they should still win. But after that performance last night, I don't know. And like you said, if they even make it into the playoffs, it's probably a 4-0 for the Bucks. I don't really see them taking a game. I thought they can take a game against the Celtics. I bought into the hype of Jimmy, really stepping it up towards later the season. And after last night's performance, I've lost all hope for that team. But congratulations to the Hawks. Did not see them being this bad kind of coming into the season. But now you go against the Celtics, and I just don't think that they match up too well against them. So, I mean, I think it's a 4-0 for the Celtics. So, I mean, congratulations. That's just how the East is. You make it out of the play-in, and you're getting swept. So, but still, congratulations to them. Proved all the haters wrong. I think not a single ESPN analyst picked the Hawks, and so I mean, congratulations. Proved the analysts wrong, proved me wrong, proved everyone wrong, just to get swept. So congratulations.
Yeah, including us. We did not pick the Hawks to win this one. But moving into the more exciting playing game, the LA Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Just words cannot describe the roller coaster of emotions that transpired against or in that game last night. In preparation of this game, I knew it was going to be a dogfight. I've seen on Twitter just a bunch of Laker fans just like kind of just foreshadowing to us playing the Grizzlies and they're missing key players. But I gotta give props to the Timberwolves. They're just like, even though we say all this stuff about the Rudy Gobert trade, I mean, even with Rudy out, you could argue that it was better for them in a way. You just open up the floor a lot more and just have Cat as that main big guy in the court. And it really showed for him last night. I mean, the Timberwolves, I really thought they're going to give us a run for our money. It's going to be a dog fight, and that's exactly what it was. They completely blitzed the Lakers that whole first half. Chris Finch just absolutely outcoached Darvin in that first half. Darvin Ham thought this was a game in January, playing 10 guys in the first half. And Cat, Mike Conley, basically just backpacking the Timberwolves. I mean, Anthony Edwards was just a no-show, which was surprising, but giving some credit to Vando there. He's kind of just had Ant's number the past couple of matchups. But yeah, man, it was just overall just a very up and down game. If you're a Lakers fan, you fall down early, you climb all the way back to take the lead, and then you fall all the way back down. I think was to 16 at one point, and you're heading into the half down 10, I think. So just that whole first half was really not good. And I will admit my energy levels were very low. I did not expect much heading into that second half. I thought, well, man, we're really going to have to play on Friday, aren't we? But gotta give props to the guys. They fought. LeBron really, even though I was very critical of some of the lazy passes he made in that game, he played really well. Dennis Schroeder, I've slandered him a fair amount of times, but he really showed up. D'Angelo Russell was just an absolute no-show today. Very disappointing game from him, but we'll talk about that a little later. Yeah, it was basically just LeBron, AD, and Dennis, honestly. Those three guys kind of just willed our team back into the game. And while they willed us back into this game and willed us to a win, the Timberwolves kind of just fell apart that whole fourth quarter. I mean, they had 95 points, just a little under 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And the only points they scored was at the end of the game with Conley's free throws. So they just completely went away from what worked. It was very cat-centric. They ran a lot of motion off the ball to get people open. And it was just very stagnant for the Timberwolves, which don't understand what happened there. I don't know how you just completely go away from what worked. But also credit the Laker defense. They stepped it up, but yeah, there's just so much to talk about in this game. We could talk about the very last play, but Daniel's picture shows that, so I'll let him take the reins and he can handle that last play once he finishes his little monologue.
Yeah, first of all, I cannot believe that the one man who realistically won us that game was Dennis Schroeder. The amount of times that I and you and a lot of other Laker fans have been upset with this man, the amount of bonehead plays that he makes, and he was the one who was the X factor last night. Very happy. Going into that game throughout the day, I was excited, and I was just like, we're playing the Grizzlies. Like, there's no way we lose. Like, I was like set on the Grizzlies. I wanted to play the Grizzlies. And, you know, the game starts off as normal as ever. Lakers bricking every three, the other team making everything. And, you know, as the game transpires, it's just the same old Laker formula of go down a lot, make a run, make a fake comeback, then go down a lot again. And then as we go into the fourth quarter, I don't know what happened. The defense stepped up big time, honestly. Props to them. The Timberwolves became the Lakers in the first half. Couldn't hit a thing. Looked lost half the time, and I'm just amazed. Cat, I feel like just, you know, like he said in his post game, just felt like that those 5 fouls really impacted him. And thankfully, he had 5 fouls, because I feel like if he had 4 at least and he was able to play with a little bit more freedom and not really play as aggressive, I think that game's probably lost. And we kind of get bailed out there. You know, we claw our way back. LeBron has like 3 straight awful turnovers. Those were like, I don't know what he was thinking. Half of those passes, those were really bad. But Dennis hits that 3 in the corner. Beautiful. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this man is the one who just saved us to get in the playoffs. And then AD.
Oh my God.
My Lord, Anthony Davis. As you can see in the picture right behind me, and as if you were watching the play, I know Mike Conley was feeling it all night, but he hit a 3, or he shot a 3 in the corner, leaning out of bounds. Like, what is the point to like run into him? Like, what are you thinking?
Oh my God.
It's like we've lost like 5 games this season to Anthony Davis doing some very questionable things in the last 2 minutes, whether that be free throws, fouls, letting a game winner happen over you, like the things that this man is, and he's great. Like he does so many great things for us, but in the last minute of the game, it's just he doesn't think. He just forgets how to play basketball. But nonetheless, LeBron drops 30. 44 minutes or something out of him. Thankfully we won that game, because if we lost that game and we had to play Friday, I don't know how I'd be feeling, because then we have to go into Denver on Sunday, and I honestly feel like we lose that series because LeBron's like struggling to like walk. AD had a really good game in the first half. I feel like he could have been. You really didn't see much from him in the second. I wish he could have been a little bit more dominant. For us to make the finals, he needs to at least have like 30. And I know that's asking a lot, but I think he needs to be even more dominant than he was last night. And he was really good defensively and on the boards, but offensively, I think we just need a little bit more out of him. I mean, besides that, Ant and D'Lo had the mid-off of the century. They were absolutely awful. Ant was more surprising because I know D'Lo's had like those playoff like inconsistencies and the bad performances in the past, which I really hope he can fix for this upcoming series. But I really thought Ant was going to come out there and, just be him and score and play really good. He still played good defensively, but I really thought that he was at least going to drop 25, and he didn't. And I am thankful, because if he did, then that game's a blowout. But really happy for Darvin Ham as well. He kind of stopped being, Darvin after the first half. I'm really, thankfully he didn't play D'Lo or Vando as much as in the second half. He kind of realized that they just were not it, and sat them. So really happy for this team. I'm excited for Sunday. But I can already see us losing game 1 by a lot. It's so scripted, but that is why I love playoff basketball. Like, that game was a lot of fun. And I really hope that we can kind of go out Sunday and make a statement, but we probably won't. So it's okay.
Yeah, man. Even though this game was just heart-inducing for Laker fans, like, this is like the kind of games you live for. It felt like even though we missed the playoffs last year, it feels like we've been out of the playoffs for like 5 years. And this is the kind of games I miss. Just high intensity, two teams going at it, very defensive oriented, but also a lot of laziness. But just the environment, crypto was popping off. The crowd was very into it in that whole fourth quarter. Just overall a great environment. And now I will agree with you. We're back to where the Lakers usually take game 1 off. It's always the feel out game. So going into Sunday, the Grizzlies are a really, really good home team. I think they're like 38-6 or something at home. So definitely going to be a hostile environment. Wouldn't say that we probably go in there game 1 and just take it. Could expect another very low scoring affair in game 1. But yeah, game 1s are usually fail out games, at least for LeBron and the Lakers. So I guess we'll see how that looks moving forward. Also got to give credit to Rui. He is really good. Missed like some heartbreaks, missed a couple dunks, some threes that spilled out. But overall, having that switchability with AD and Rui out there, so when Cat was in pick and rolls, they're able to switch it, which was nice. Rui kind of held his own on Cat. We saw it in the last matchup between the two late in March. So he was really solid, helped us close out that game. I'm very interested to see how Darvin prepares for Memphis on Sunday, because I already know they're going to put Jaren on Vando, just have Jaren free roaming, so he's able to come over and block shots. So Darvin's really going to have to figure out whether he takes Vando out of the starting five, puts Rui in there maybe, or you just find a better way to incorporate Vando on the offensive side of the ball instead of just planting him in the corner and just figuring out. And then also you got to put AD in the middle of the floor. You got to put him at the free throw line area so he's able to see everything. The kind of meta has been double AD on the post on catch because he's not the greatest passer in the world, nor is he decisive with passes out of the double team. So I think if you're Darvin, you definitely have to work on your offense or at least tweak it a little bit heading into Memphis on Sunday. But all you can ask as a Laker fan is just give yourself a chance, giving ourselves a chance. While the Grizzlies are definitely not an easy team by any means, there's definitely a world where you can win this series, but just as a team, as a coaching staff, you're just really going to have to be on top of your game because Taylor Jenkins and that Grizzlies team are just really well coached. They know what they're doing. Even though they're really young, they can still hand you the business and, again, take care of the ball because if you turn the ball over against this team, I think we had 20 turnovers against the Timberwolves. If you turn it over that many times, the Grizzlies are just going to be running all over the place. So you just got to fix a lot of stuff heading into Sunday. But heading into play-in part 2, we are recording this ahead of the second day of the play-in. We can kind of just give our brief thoughts. We got the Bulls and the Raptors today and the Thunder and Pelicans playing later tonight as well. Just for reference, I'll pull up our play-in predictions right now. So pardon my subpar graphic designing. I tried my best, but so my predictions on the left, Daniel's on the right. So we both have the Raptors winning this one. I think it's just kind of self-explanatory. I don't buy the Bulls, honestly. I just like the idea of the Raptors more than the Bulls. I think the Raptors are just overall, I think it's just plain and simple that they're the better team than the Bulls. That's starting five for Toronto, even though they've just been very up and down all year long. I just think that starting five is just too good to lose, especially at home. Toronto's going to have an insane crowd, even though they're in a play-in position. I just really like this Toronto team. Again, they've just been kind of mid all year, 41-41. But I think they should be able to get the job done just on the sole purpose of they have a better starting five. Their bench is a little questionable, but so is the Bulls. It's not like you're necessarily going to get cooked in terms of bench points. But, yeah, home crowd advantage. Toronto always brings it in terms of fans. So I'm sure that place is going to be rocking. So I think it's just not too much, I guess, analysis going into this matchup. I just think Toronto, as it stands, just has a better team. Plus, they have home court advantage heading into this game. So probably taking Toronto on this first matchup.
Yeah, I said Toronto as well, unless we see another Patrick Beverley play-in legacy game. You never know. But in all seriousness, the Bulls to me have been such a weird team all year.
Sure.
You have scorers and DeMar, Levine, Vucevic he hasn't played good all year. Outside of that, like the team just has been they just have been so underwhelming, if that makes sense. Like, Lonzo, prayers for him, hope he gets better, but there's just been no real guy who you've just can really rely on. I feel like I think Levine has his moments, DeMar has his moments, but they're just not consistent. There's not really too many young guys that you can really say like, hey, like he's He's, up and coming. Patrick Williams is there. Kobe White's a solidified like bench player at this point. Just this whole year has just been just disappointing, to be honest, for the Bulls, and I just don't see it continuing here, or I see it continuing here. It'll be another disappointing loss, I feel like. You go into Toronto, and we've seen Toronto in playoff, mode recently. Like that fan base gets behind their team. They will be here tonight. I just like the team more. I think with Siakam still there, Van Vliet, the Pirtle acquisition. I think they're gonna be. I think this honestly might be a blowout. To be honest with you,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised as well. If Toronto gets off hot, the crowd's behind them, and I just don't see the way the Bulls can really claw their way back. But it's nothing too crazy to get into. No like crazy like stats or anything. It's just I think every NBA fan can kind of get the feeling that we just don't see that this Bulls team, who has been disappointing all year, come into Toronto and steal a game. It's just very unlikely, in my honest opinion.
Now, moving on to the next matchup, Daniel and I have separate picks here. New Orleans and OKC. I think this has the potential to be a really, really, really good game. I'm just taking OKC, man. I think Shea is just going to be that guy tonight. He's been great all year. Just a lot of timeless performances by him, a lot of 30-point games. I think it's going to continue here tonight. I think that supporting cast, Shea, Giddey, you have J-Dub, who's in a way became an emerging star for OKC, even though he's a young rookie for them. I just think this OKC team is just, even though I think they're the youngest team in the league, they just play like veterans. And again, New Orleans is another environment where it's probably going to be sold out. We saw it last year in the Suns matchup. That New Orleans crowd was insane, and it's probably going to be no different here. But I just like Shea in this matchup. Don't necessarily know who's going to stop him. I just think I like their chances, just plain and simple. Heading on to the road is going to definitely be a tough game heading into New Orleans, but in a way, they're kind of an upset pick. New Orleans is a 5.5-point favorite at this point in time, but making a little bit of an underdog pick here, just based off experience. So when the Lakers play the Thunder, they always play them tough. They play every team pretty tough, and they haven't been in the playoffs in a hot minute. Hopefully they can win this one and be able to try and get over the hump, but that's the tough position in terms of being in the lower seeding. Having to win 2 games in a row is pretty tough to do in a one-game thing, but give me OKC, man. Even though they have an awful road record, I'll take my chances in the underdog pick here.
I'll be quite honest. I don't hate it. I love this Thunder team, and I think in the next coming years, they will be a top seed in the Western Conference for years to come. But I think you mentioned it right there. Their road record isn't the best, and we've seen how New Orleans can get behind the Pelicans before, similar to how the Raptors, how we were saying home court. I think New Orleans is going to come out, and they're going to cheer for this team. It is going to be, I think, a very active crowd. I hope at least. And I'm just taking the experience, man, with the Pelicans. CJ, he's been here before. He's been in these playoff environments. He knows how it is. BI, maybe not as much, but I love Brandon Ingram. I think that he will have a pretty good game tonight. But then just the rest of the Pelicans, I think that their roster is obviously a little bit more built out, and I think injuries are really hurting them right now. I know Zion, so many question marks around him, but I've said it before and I keep saying it. I wish he was healthy, because I would love to see how this team would play. Mm-hmm. But we have to look at the reality that he is not here, and we don't know when he will ever be back at this point. But I just like the Pelicans too much, man. I've said it multiple times on this podcast that I like this team, and I can't wait to see how they will do, because I think that they're going to be the eighth seed. After that Timberwolves performance last night, I'm not too confident on my prediction anymore, but I still think that if they were to make the playoffs, most likely they'll lose to the Nuggets, but I'm just interested to see how they'll play, because I love CJ, I love BI. I think Larry Nance is out tonight, which I don't know how much that would really affect them, but um, I just don't see it. I don't see the world that the Thunder can go on the road in New Orleans and take a game.
Yeah, and I think also a kind of key part for New Orleans is what kind of CJ you're getting tonight.
Yeah, don't worry. I know.
I was watching that Timberwolves game. Watched it a little late. I think I watched like most of the fourth quarter. And what I saw was kind of a disaster class from CJ. Just didn't look sharp out there. I think he missed a couple of crucial free throws, I want to say. Got absolutely blocked at the rim by Ant on the dunk attempt. I think CJ is a very key piece because I think we all know Brandon's going to get his. CJ's going to have to chip in at least like it's got to be like 20, 25, and hopefully an efficient 20, 25. And also Trey Murphy. He's been really, really good for them, but there's been games where he's not necessarily getting enough shot attempts. He's a really great three-point shooter. Would like to see him get a little more consistency in terms of shot percentage and just what kind of shots he gets. But yeah, I think those are the two guys that you kind of have to really depend on to back up for Brandon Ingram, because those are kind of the two main offensive guys behind BI. So you really need them to show up. And God forbid if Brandon has a bad game, then it's kind of just a disaster if you don't have anyone backing him up. So I think that's also a key piece here. And then on our second slide of playing predictions, they've kind of already blown up a little bit with both of us saying the Hawks are going to be there. But hypothetically, if the Raptors were able to move on, they'd be playing the Miami Heat. And even with Miami there, wouldn't be surprised if Toronto's able to take that one. It's kind of just the same reasoning I took the Raptors over the Bulls. I just really like the idea of the Raptors here. And plus, after that performance, I do not know how much I believe in the Miami Heat anymore at this point in time. Maybe they're a little defeated after that loss against Atlanta. Never know. But I think if Toronto's able to take care of business, they're heading into that game against Miami with probably a good amount of momentum, high energy, and maybe it's a little bit of a trap game for Miami if you want to call it that. But if it's Miami-Toronto, give me Toronto, man. I really like Toronto. Again, they've been mid all year, but the idea of Toronto is really good to me. They definitely got what it takes to be able to get into the playoffs again. You're playing the Bucks if you get all the way out, which good luck. But in terms of getting out of the plan, I like their chances.
Well, as you can see, like you already said, my predictions, as usual, get destroyed within the first second. But yeah, I think if the Hawks were to lose that game, I like Trae Young. I don't like him, but I think in playoff performances, or playoff situations, I think he's good for it. So that's why I just felt like he would take over in this type of game if they were to play. Obviously, they're not playing. But now, if they were to win, playing the Heat, I don't hate the Raptors pick. I think that this team's been kind of up and down all year. I like their pieces. I like their players. I can see it, but I don't know, man. I think that the Heat bounced back after a abysmal performance last night. Still, also in Miami, I just don't see a way that they really lose this. And this is gonna probably blow up in my face as usual. But I don't know. I just think that Jimmy, there's no way. I can't believe it. He sold last night, but I just don't. I don't see a way that he sells 2 nights in a row.
So see.
No way Kyle drops 33 again, sadly. But I think Jimmy and Hero and Bam will kind of have a bounce back game, and I think that the Heat will secure that 8 seed to get royally swept. But at least they made the playoffs. That's all you can say.
And then our last prediction for the play-in coming in the Western Conference. We alluded to the last matchup with the Pelicans Thunder. I got OKC making it out of that first game, but with Minnesota now, they're waiting for the opponent of that game. I think regardless, either if it's OKC or New Orleans, I just like that Minnesota team, man. Think they're probably getting Gobert back. It's only one game, but even though, again, we clown on Rudy Gobert, I think in my matchup, I have the Thunder. So if Shea's matching up with that team, I think it's going to be really tough for him because just the Timberwolves have a lot of size, good defenders, and if Shea obviously loves getting downhill, getting to the rim, getting to his spots in the mid-range, the post-ups, all that jazz. And with Cat and Gobert there, you're probably not going to be as efficient. Don't know if you're going to be able to get to your spots in the mid-range. So Shea's going to have to be a little crafty there, but I just think the Timberwolves just have more veterans, more experience. I think coming off that disappointing loss against the Lakers, I think they're going to be really amped for the next game. Again, they have home court advantage, so I'm sure Minnesota is going to be, again, another good environment for the Timberwolves here in a win or go home. So give me the Timberwolves. Again, they just good veterans. They have the size to stop Shea from getting to the rim, contesting his mid-range stuff and all that. So it's going to be a tough task for the Thunder if they're able to get out of that first game. So give me the Timberwolves to match up with Denver in the playoffs.
Yeah, can't change it now. If the Pelicans do make it out tonight and they play the Timberwolves, I still like them. I know that they lost Sunday, and obviously that whole debacle happened with the punching and all that still, and the Timberwolves still made it out. But I just think that CG will have a better game. I think that the team will be hungry to win, and it's going to be hard to win in Minnesota, but I don't know, man. Like, I just like the Pelicans. I just like what they have, but definitely after that performance last night from the Timberwolves, I am a little bit scared with that prediction now. They battled, man, and do I expect Ant to go out there and shoot like 3 for 20 again? No. And honestly, it might be like kind of a, hot take, but I think maybe not a hot take, but I think the Timberwolves are honestly better without Gobert.
Yeah, they are.
You're losing the defense. I know there's like a stat I saw or something on Twitter that like they're just a lot more efficient on the offensive side without him, and it's only like 26 possessions or something like that. But still, I think Cat just opens up the floor so much more at the center position, and then you get Gobert in there, and it's just kind of awkward. So, interesting to see if they lose this game Friday, what people will be saying about them, and especially with that trade. It's definitely something to kind of look at and pay attention to, but I'm still confident in the Pelicans, winning if they end up making it to Friday.
Yeah, so still got a little more of playing action to go through before we get to the real deal. Playoffs kicking off on Saturday. We're almost there. We can do a little bit of previewing with the first round. We can start off with the, I guess, least exciting conference. I mean, I think everyone's kind of just looking forward to the Western Conference side of things. So kind of just previewing. I think we can kind of just skip the Bucks and the Celtics. I think we all know they're going to take care of business regardless of who we think is going to get in there. We can be nice, give the Hawks and whoever makes it, whether it be the Raptors, Bulls, or Heat, and give one of those teams a win if they're lucky enough. But not much to really dive into for the 1 and 2 matchup. But I think probably the most intriguing matchup for the Eastern Conference for me is Cleveland and New York. I think this is going to be a game or a series where I expect to at least go 6. If it doesn't, I'll be very disappointed. But this has the potential to go all the way to 7. It's going to go back and forth. But I think a big question mark is Julius Randle, if he's there or not. I saw something that I think he's targeting a return for the first round. So if the Knicks are able to get him back, that would be a huge help. Factoring him in, I think that will maybe push it to 6 or 7. But if he's not there, maybe it gets a little ugly. Maybe you lose in 5. So Julius's health is up in the air, and I think that's a very big factor if the Knicks are able to pull off an upset in this series. But regardless if Julius is there or not, I think I'm probably taking Cleveland in this matchup. Definitely expected to go 6. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes all the way to 7. Playoff experience is going to be interesting for the Cleveland Cavaliers. First time making the playoffs without LeBron, I believe, or I think it's been a very, very long time since they have. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a very back and forth series, as I mentioned, but this is going to be an exciting series. It's going to be one of the favorites, I think, in the Eastern Conference, at least in the first round. So we'll see. You can pick the Knicks. I wouldn't be mad at you, but I think it just all depends on if Julius is there and how he looks post-injury. I believe it's an ankle injury, so guess time will tell, but would take the Cavs here in this series, but if Julius is back and healthy, would not be surprised if they're able to pull off an upset here.
Yeah. Realistically, for the East, I honestly think it's going to be sweeps all around, realistically, besides that matchup. So that's kind of just a hint at what I think besides this. But Cavs-Knicks, definitely going to be fun. And realistically, whoever wins this series is going to have the pleasure of getting swept after in the second round. But in all seriousness, I have the Cavs. I have the Cavs in 7. I'll say. I think that this series is going to be really back and forth. I think both teams will find success in different ways. I think the only way the Cavs win this in 6 or 5 is, like you said, if Julius just does not show up, and we've seen it in the past against the Hawks where he has not shown up. But I really hope he does, because this Knicks team is really fun to watch. They really made a bounce back after that All-Star break. I think it was, what did they win, like 10 games in a row, something like that?
Yeah.
I really, really want to see them, succeed. But I just think that this Cavs team is too good with Garland, Mitchell, Mobley. I like them too much. And I think that in the end, in Cleveland, I think the Cavs would close it out in a 7-game series.
Then moving on to Sixers-Nets. Kind of mentioned how it could be a sweep. I could see that. I'll be nice. I'll give the Nets a game. I think Mikal has been really good since he came over to Brooklyn. I wouldn't be surprised if Mikal just absolutely goes off and is able to steal a game. I don't think they'll be able to steal a away game, but I think maybe you can get a game in Brooklyn if you're able to just have some good performances. But yeah, now thinking about it, this series isn't really much to look at. But a rematch from a couple of years ago with the D'Lo Nets and the Jimmy Butler Sixers, I believe it was. But I'll be nice. I'll give the Nets a game.
That is very nice of you indeed, because I'm not confident with this team at all. I think the Sixers are looking ahead, which could actually bite them. but I think that this team is focused on the Celtics. I think that um, the Sixers team is too talented to lose to this Nets team. So if they end up dropping a game, it's definitely possible. It's the NBA. It's best athletes in the world. I could see the Nets getting a game or two, maybe two, but I can definitely see one. But I think just at the end of the day, I think Sixers sweep. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is a 4-1 Sixers win as well.
Then moving on to the almighty Western Conference. A lot of great matchups here. We'll start off with the 1-8. Based on my predictions, I have the Timberwolves being that 8th spot. Maybe it's a little bit of a hot take, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Wolves are able to take the Nuggets to 6. I believe it was last episode we kind of talked about how the Nuggets are on fraud watch, and I fully believe that. Would not be surprised if the first round matchup they have, assuming it's the Timberwolves for me, wouldn't be surprised if they definitely test them. They're going to make the Nuggets work for it, I think. So I think 6 is probably fair. Maybe you're not able to win in Denver. Maybe you can sneak one out, but I think the key is back in Minnesota, having that home court and being able to stack a couple of games there. But it's going to be interesting to see how they match up with Jokic there and just the Twin Towers. Overall, interested to see how that works out. If the Pelicans get in there somehow, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's 6 either. I just think regardless, the Nuggets are going to have a relatively tough time in the first round. I'm just not confident after how they finished the regular season the past couple of weeks. I'm not necessarily confident that they're going to be able to sweep or gentleman sweep one of these playing teams that are coming out of the 8, 9, 10 playing games. So guess we'll see. But I have the Timberwolves getting there. Would definitely not be surprised if the Nuggets struggle and have to finish that first round series in 6.
Yeah, so just to start things off, I would be surprised if any person gets like the West first round right and like predictions of games. Like this is so hard to even understand like who's gonna win and who's gonna do this because there's so many good teams. But to start off with the 1-8, like you said, I may sound delusional. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna lose. I'm not gonna say that here. But just for the record, it is in my head 100% that I can see them losing. Let's just get off the record. So if it happens, I'll still say that I was right. But regardless if it's the Pelicans or Timberwolves, I see the series going 6 or even 7, 100%. Because you cannot tell me in the past month of the regular season, a 1 seed who lost to the Bulls, Spurs, Nets, Raptors, Rockets, and Jazz is going to sweep a 8 seed in a conference that is full of talent. Especially with how the Timberwolves came out last night. And when you have, I know we all trash on Gobert, but you have Gobert and Cat who can probably make it hard for Jokic to really take over at any point in time, is going to sweep a team. I just don't see it. I don't see the Nuggets being as dominant as people think they are. Yes, will they probably still move on? Will they have a pretty ugly series? I expect it. Will they get absolutely destroyed in the next round? Yes, but I still think I'll say, to be safe, because I don't want to, look too stupid. I'll say that Nuggets win in 7 against the Timberwolves or Pelicans. If it's the Thunder, then we have a whole different story. But say that.
Then moving on to another very intriguing matchup: the Phoenix Suns and the LA Clippers. Going to be some major storylines. Whoever gets eliminated in this series, it's either going to be a very disappointing early exit for the KD Phoenix Suns, or a very disappointing early first round exit for the LA Clippers, which I've said time and time again, this is the make it or break it year for them. And to be matched up with the Phoenix Suns for your first round is not great for that make or break it year. But who knows what PG's going to do, when he's going to come back. I think I said a couple episodes ago, putting PG in a playoff setting after coming back from a pretty decently serious injury, hyperextending that knee, I think it was. It's very dangerous. I mean, I just think he would need some sort of ramp up, but obviously you don't have that benefit now here in the first round starting soon. I just don't find a way or see a way the Clippers are able to come out of this first round series, man. Even with PG there, I think the Suns are probably still my favorite to win it, or win this series, I should say. But I'll preface this by saying that without PG, Suns in 6. With PG, Suns in 7. Yeah, the Suns don't have the depth as the Clippers do, but I just think CP, Booker, KD, Ayton, hopefully Ayton plays somewhat decent. Just on paper, I think they just have what it takes to get it done over the Clippers. I'm very, very intrigued to see Russell Westbrook back in a play-in or playoff series and how the Suns are going to play him. So Westbrook's going to be a very key piece in how Ty Lue's able to kind of use him, or if he just doesn't use him at all, and what kind of production you're going to get alongside Kawhi, assuming Paul George isn't there for at least the first few games, maybe like 2-3 games, maybe. We still don't know if he's going to come back early in this series or not, but time will tell. I think Phoenix is just overall the favorite. Yeah, the Clippers were my favorite to be in the finals this year, honestly, as we were heading into the season. Now they're on the brink of being a first-round exit. It's just pretty tough, I think, regardless. If the Clippers lose in the first round, you got to start looking in the mirror. What can you do better? Wouldn't be surprised if Ty Lue's on the block, looking for a new job. Not saying he's a horrible coach or anything, but it's usually this is like year 4, I think, of PG Kawhi. It's just usually the coach is the first one to go bye-bye. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, if the Clippers get bounced. If you lose in 7, maybe it's a little debatable that you kind of just stand pat. But regardless, if you get bounced in the first round, it's not a great look. I get it. It's the Suns. But just with all the expectations, I know heading into this year, a lot of people have the Clippers as favorites to at least get to the conference finals. But yeah, man, it's going to be a very interesting series. I'll definitely be watching every game of this one. If you pick the Clippers in this series, I wouldn't be mad at you. I wouldn't say you're crazy, but I just think in terms of star power, just with KD and Book there, Kawhi not having PG for at least a couple of games is probably going to hurt. So give me the Suns in 6. If PG's there, give me the Suns in 7. Regardless, I'm probably going to take the Suns to win this first round matchup.
Now this is like a Western Conference Finals matchup in the first round. This series is gonna be fun. But I'm gonna take the Suns in 7 just because I don't like the Clippers as much. I want to see them lose in the first round. I think people like myself as well who have said like the Suns aren't a deep team, the depth is the problem. I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue in the playoffs because if you look at it, this bench almost beat the Lakers and the Clippers in the last week of the season. And I know it's, last week and I know PG is out, but still that unit has shown that they can play. That When it comes around the playoff time, KD, Book are going to be on a different level, and I think it's going to be really hard to stop for the Clippers. But I still think that they're talented enough, they're deep enough to get 3 games at least. It could be 6, it could be 7, but I'm going to go and say that this matchup is going to be literally like a Western Conference Finals, like, and it's going to go all the way. It's going to go the distance. But I think that in that last game in Phoenix, I just think KD and Book take over, and it's just going to be really hard for the Clippers to really match. I don't know when Paul George is supposed to come back. If he does, I think it'd make it even more entertaining, but I don't think it's enough, in my opinion, for them to really take the series.
And then moving on to the next matchup, had a very passionate discussion on 2K with my friends talking about this series, the Kings and the Warriors. A series that could go either way in my eyes. I think, again, another series that should go 6. If it doesn't, again, I'll be probably disappointed. But give me the Kings in 7. Now, my reasoning behind this, and I was very passionate about this discussion. AZ, if you're watching this, no, I'm talking to you. We got to stop giving the Warriors bail. Yes, they're the champions. God bless them. But just to constantly say, dude, they're the Warriors. Okay, sure. If we're talking about last year's team, yes. But I just have such a hard time believing that a team that didn't win 10 games on the road is going to be able to walk into Golden One Center on Saturday or Sunday, whenever they play, in game 1 with an environment of a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in 16 years. You're telling me that team's going to be able to just walk in there and be able to steal a game? I don't see it. Now, maybe they take a game against the Kings, but do you consistently, whether it's just big picture thinking, if they're able to get out of Sacramento, do you think this team's going to be able to steal 1 road game per series? They've won 9 road games in the whole year, and they've had their guys in most of those road games that they weren't able to win. So just want to say I'm kind of done with the Warriors talk. I'm done with they're the Warriors. They'll figure it out. They have Curry. They have Clay. They have Draymond. Yeah, sure. But when's an NBA champion have 9 road wins? Like, it's just, I don't think that's ever happened before. And just to think that they're going to be able to just flip a switch and be able to win even harder road games, they haven't been able to win road games just in the regular season, is very, very concerning to me. And if you make it out of Sacramento, you may have to play a Phoenix that has a good home crowd. You might have to play a Denver that has a good home crowd. Could argue the Lakers have a good home crowd. Maybe they don't. Probably not as electric as, say, the Kings maybe. Have to see how their crowd is. Or maybe Denver. Denver has the best home record in the conference. But I think just if you're the Warriors, I don't see this team being able to win consistently on the road, being able to take away home court advantage in just the playoffs alone. Maybe they can take it in Sacramento, but overall, just don't see it happening. I would love to see the Kings be able to steal round 1, giving them a little benefit of the doubt here, giving them 7 games, and hopefully being able to take the Warriors out in their first playoff series in over a decade.
You see, Matt, I think I'm one of those people who think that the Warriors can get it done.
Oh, my God. It's just
I know.
they can beat the Kings.
I know your concerns. But I think they can beat the Kings. But I think whoever they play in the next round, whether it be the Grizzlies or Lakers, I think they lose. I don't think this team makes it past the second round. Now, am I being a little bit too Am I underrating the Kings a little bit too much? Yes, I feel like I am. But I think when you get Wiggins back for this series, I know he hasn't played in a long time. I'm not saying that they're going to win like 3 road games. I literally think that they win 1, but they close out every single home game and they win in 7. I think that this series is going to be really close. I think both fan bases are really passionate, whether that be, obviously we know I hate Warriors fans for a certain reason. I think everyone knows why. But I think both teams are going to get a major boost home court. But I'm gonna sound like the people you just said you hate. I just think on the road, Curry and Clay can get it done for a game. That's all we're asking for. I'm not asking for a, insane road team randomly out of the blue. I just think with Curry, Clay, Jordan Poole can have a game. Wiggins is really impactful. I just think that they can get a game. I like their bench. I like some of the guys they have on their bench. And I just see the Warriors winning this series. I understand where you're coming from. That road record is really bad. Not even getting over 10 in an 82 game season is absurd to me. But it sounds stupid. I think they just get it done. I don't want to say the one line that I want to say because I know you're gonna laugh, but it's the Warriors. It's the Warriors. Like, I know you hate the whole thing, but and watch them lose, and you'll be like, "See, I told you so." But I don't know. I'm gonna say it. I don't think they lose. Warriors in 7.
I'm sorry. I'd like to preface this, or like to fix a mistake I said. Said they're 9-30. They're actually 11-30. So they got over the hump. Congrats. But 11-30, 9-30, same thing. Still horrific home or road record. So who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not hip and a believer in the Golden State Warriors. Maybe I'm wrong. Guess we'll see. Time will tell.
Have to see.
Overall, even though I'm very confident in my prediction. But regardless, moving on to the last series to kind of preview / predict here. The good old Memphis Grizzlies, LA Lakers. We kind of talked a little bit about this matchup earlier in the show, but this is a very interesting series. I don't know how to feel about this series. Obviously, Memphis has a really, really, really good home record. I believe they're second behind Denver. Let me look. They have a better home record than Denver, actually. 35-6 at home. So to be able to go into Memphis and steal a game would be absolutely monumental. I will say if we don't steal a home game, I am a little scared. If you aren't able to win at least one in Memphis before going back to LA, I don't like our chances. I'm kind of being a hypocrite, but if there are 2 guys to be able to go in and steal a road game, it's LeBron and AD. But guess we'll see. But yeah, even regardless, with LeBron and AD there, it's going to be really hard to win that road game. Memphis always has a good home crowd. Guess we'll see. I think it just all boils down to our coaching staff. If we get out coached, we probably lose this series. If we get out, or if we are able to be competent, not necessarily out coach Taylor Jenkins, but if we're able to make the right adjustments, be able to somewhat contain Ja, be able to kind of maintain just the other pieces. Interested to see how Desmond Bane looks in this series. Jaren Jackson. Those are kind of the key guys around Ja that will be under a spotlight in this series. I think if Ja's going to need probably Desmond Bane to step up. Luke Kennard has kind of been under the radar. I think he's shooting over 50% since he's joined the Grizzlies from 3. So Lakers definitely have their work cut out for them. I know, obviously, Laker fans are confident in their chances. But man, this is kind of just a hard series to predict. Um, it could really go either way. It can be competitive. Could go 7, could go 6, could go 5. It just all depends on what kind of version of the Lakers we're getting. And I think heading into the series with a couple of days of rest and preparation is going to help. But I'll be biased. Lakers in 6. But again, I preface this by saying you got to win one in Memphis. If you don't, if you go 0-2, I find it very hard to believe that we're going to be able to win out in LA and go back to Memphis and win a game 6. And it usually gets harder from then on. So we'll see. I'll go Lakers in 6 for now, but just know I'm being biased and I'm not confident necessarily in that pick. But yeah, pick your favorite team, right? Sure.
That's what I like to hear out of you. Because as much as everyone gives us, the Laker fans are delusional. They don't know what we're talking about. I'm going to feed into that, and I'm going to agree with you. Lakers in 6, baby. Will this probably happen? No. Do I want it to happen really bad, so I'm going to make that my prediction? Yes. It's going to be hard for us to win one in the first 2. I could already see us losing by 25 in the first game because it's so Laker of us to do. LeBron and AD coming out with like a whole game plan on Wednesday and winning one. If that doesn't happen, if that like whole scenario of us splitting it 1-1 doesn't happen, man, like you said, it's going to be hard because the worst case we go back, maybe get both in LA and then go back to Memphis, and it's going to be hard to, 1-1 in Memphis regardless. I mean, somehow they have a better record than the Nuggets, right, at home?
Yeah.
As much as I was confident going into the series, now that we're actually here, it's pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. I'll still stand behind it. Lakers in 6, but it's gonna be tough, and I can see a world where we get like 4-1. But let's hope that world doesn't exist. I think LeBron and AD are they're hungry this year after last year's whole debacle with this roster. I think that LeBron really wants to prove people wrong. I hope he does. I think our supporting cast is going to be insane some games and terrible some others. But I don't know. I just like this team too much. I just hope D'Angelo can play fine. And yeah, Lakers in 6. God, it sounds so bad to say because I know that first game, it's going to be ham time and it's going to be scary.
Yeah, I think D'Lo last year against the Grizzlies when he was on the T-Wolves had a really, really bad series. So, hey, maybe he can right his wrongs, fight off the demons. But also worth noting, the Grizzlies have a really bad road record, 16-25. The only way you win this series is if the Grizzlies show that they're a young team and we're a veteran team. So I think if we show those signs, then yeah, we have a good chance. But then again, it's the Grizzlies. They're definitely going to be up and ready game 1. Energy is going to be through the roof again, regardless whether we get blown out, lose in 5. I know it's not very Laker fan of me to say that I'm content with just making the playoffs, but after everything we've been through this past year and a half, just getting back to this point, being able to watch my team play some playoff basketball is very exciting. I know that Phoenix series game 1, I was just so excited just to feel like playoff environment. Like in Phoenix game 1, like that home crowd was just insane, and just all the stuff that comes with playoff basketball, you just can't beat it. So, yeah, man, next time we meet, we'll have some playoff games under our belt. we'll see if we're calm, cool, and collected about the Lakers, or it's time to panic, or maybe we talk about some unexpected storylines we didn't expect in the first round. So probably next time we record, I think maybe 2 games will probably be played in some first round matchups. So regardless, we'll probably have a lot to talk about. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. A little bit on the longer side today, but gotta give all our takes out about the first round of the playoffs beginning this weekend. So very excited to see what transpires this weekend. I'll be watching every single game. So yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for listening. However you listen, whether it's through University Pulse, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we greatly appreciate you. Feel free to check us out on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok at the Basketball Maestros. Go live every Friday from 4 to 5. And yeah, that'll do it. And we will see you guys next time.